And we are rolling. Hello and welcome everybody to tonight's webinar. We're super excited to share Healy with you, this new quantum frequency device from Germany that the whole world is absolutely blown away by. It's been an absolute gift in my life the last 5 months, integrating this into my wellness. It's helped me dramatically with stress, reducing tension in my jaw and my back. It's helped me with anxiety. It's helped me with my energy and immune system. And the testimonials that are coming forward are really mind-blowing. You know, whether it's people's skin improving or pain in their body or better sleep or just, you know, lifelong conditions are being supported through this incredible bioenergetic device. And so tonight we have a special guest tonight. This is one of my good friends, and he's a bioenergetic coach as well as a health coach. And in fact, he used to be a former nautical or aerobatic pilot. And so thanks for joining us, Ken. Super excited to hear your insights.
Thank you.
And so before we get into this, guys, we're going to go through the product, we're going to go through the science, we're going to be going through some testimonials, we'll go through how it was created, why it was created, but really the intention is to educate you guys so that you're aware of all the incredible applications of Healy and how it might suit you in your life. And so, you know, whether you have health conditions or health challenges or you're working on some health goals, the Healy has frequencies for everything. It has frequencies for learning or fitness or sleep or all these different health goals that we have access to, that we are all after these days. The Healy has capabilities to support so many different people out there. So I'm just going to make sure we mute everyone. And so I'd love to pass it over to Ken and get to know you a bit more. Ken, tell us a bit about yourself and how you got to get into bioresonance therapy.
So yes, I am a bioenergetics and functional health practitioner and coach. I'm living in Sydney. What does bioenergetics mean to me? Well, it's a field of medicine that I think that Healy sits firmly in, and I think they would declare that too. I've used it in my human potential coaching practice and my functional health work with clients over the last 3 years with profound success. But unlike a lot of people who use bioenergetics professionally, I found bioenergetics through my own personal health journey, which for all intents and purposes started in 1990 when I began a career in the banking system. And not long after I started, in fact, I had a visit to the hospital and was discharged with a mystery illness, which in other words was no one knew what was wrong with me. Fast forward 10 years or so and multiple secondments around the world to overseas offices and a high octane life in general, I left banking pretty exhausted. Multiple kind of like bouts of collapse and peers needing to recover and so on. So I took leave from banking for some chill out time, and paradoxically I opted to train as an aerobatic pilot, which is just, you know, looking back was a very interesting chapter of my life, but it kind of pushed my system to the limits. My wild flying career was stopped short 3 or 4 years later, when in reality, the stress in the cockpit was getting too much for me. And initially, I left to focus on other things, thinking it was me that was the problem, and I was just not suited for flying. But fast forward a number of years, and I started to uncover the root of what was draining my brain power and my ability to function at the top end. And bioenergetics was the backbone to this. And I liken it to night goggles for a practitioner to see what's really going on in the body. And certainly I was up to here with the thousands and thousands of dollars I was spending on doctors and practitioners from multiple modalities, anyone you could think of, being told, come back next week and let's see how you've gone. And, you know, when you hear that week after week after year, it just, you know, I'm sure there are many people who would concur. It gets to the point where you really want to take control of what's going on. And eventually it was Lyme disease that was at the root of my challenges. And with the knowledge of what was actually draining my immunity and my system and my energy and so on, I managed to knock it out pretty quickly within a few months with bioenergetics. And many people, interestingly enough, spend lifetimes trying to get rid of it. So I feel deeply indebted to the field of bioenergetics and frequency therapy for giving me the insights to what to do when nobody else was able to. So today I'm a huge advocate of Healy. It sits firmly in my mission to help others wrestle back control of their health, and I'm deeply connected to those who feel they have outsourced their healthcare to others, when there are tools like Healy out there that, essentially today we're in a position to introduce people to the nature of it. So part of my reason for being here today is to see as many people as possible take up Healy as their own means of making the profound shifts in their health, like I have, and pretty much everyone I know who's used it.
And thanks for sharing, Ken. And you were one of the first I actually spoke. I shared Healy too, and at the time you kind of didn't really understand it, and there was a lot of questions that you had. So I'd love to, as we go through, to kind of share some of your challenges with it and some of what you've found using it since, because you found great improvements in your own health as well as your family's health. You're telling me an incredible story, so we'd love to get that shortly too. But before we get into this, I'd love to share some intentions and in order for you guys to get the most out of this, whether you're a busy stay-at-home mom or dad, whether you're a student, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an athlete, there's frequencies for everyone with Healy. So really my intention is to educate you guys and share the truth of what Healy is, and for you guys to be totally aware of how amazing this technology is. Do you want to share a bit about your intention?
Sure. So I guess I'll speak to the slide actually, and I think the first is to really ensure that we are able to impart some idea of the potency of this device and the power that can be explained a lot by the science behind it and what it is founded on, and I'll spend some time on that. Secondly, I want you to understand that today we're here for your physical and mental health, and how Healy can help you make profound shifts in your own well-being if you use it regularly. And of course, if you want to, or you feel you'd like to join in my mission and Zach's mission to help others make that shift too, then there is a business opportunity that supports it. But today, we're not going to talk about that. Today is about the power behind Healy and how you could use it in your life. And lastly, we want to touch on the support that Zach, gosh, you have been working super hard. You're a machine, Zach, and what you put together behind the scenes to help people. And of course, when you're armed with such an incredible device like Healy, it can be quite overwhelming in the beginning as to how you use it and how you can get the best from it. And certainly, through your guidance, I've been fast-tracked through that process. And really, I've hit the ground running, albeit I did have a bit of a background to technology, but ultimately, it was a very, very quick and easy process to get up and running. So I want to make sure that people have a sense of confidence that you're not going to just acquire a device and potentially find yourself sunk in how the hell do I use it, how do I get the best out of it. That's just not something which will happen, because we're here forever and ever, as to however long it takes for you to get up to speed on it.
And that's one of the best things about the Healy, is that it's application based. Anyone with a smartphone can use this. It allows you to connect with the apps. There's 2 different apps. We'll go through those in a minute. But really, when I first had my Healy, and I'm quite healthy overall, but really doing the scans and seeing things like hormones were out of balance, or digestion was out of balance, or sleep was out of balance at certain times. It was just so accurate at what it picked up on me. So when I started to share this with other people and actually started to put the Healy and go, hey, do you want to try this quantum machine? Like, do you want to have a free aura scan? Do you want to up your frequencies? They were like, sure. And so I've been on a mission the last 5 or 6 months to share this with as many people as I can, because, this is allowing us to bring frequency therapy into our home, where we have access to frequency, vibration, and energy, which is really the foundation of our universe. And so, as we know, energy is really what everything is made up of. Waves and energies and frequencies. There's frequencies that are damaging, 3, 4, 5G radiation, or there's frequencies that are balancing, nature and grounding and, sunshine, things like that. So Healy works on that, the energetic level, with microcurrent connecting to our bioresonance. So every part of our body resonates with the frequency, and it picks up on those subtle cues. And Healy's was designed by a company called Time Waver. They've been around for 13 years. They have about 3,000 practitioners globally. They're doctors and high-end professionals, and they have these big devices that are about 20,000 euros. And so for the past 13, 14 years, they've helped over 500,000 people with frequency therapy. And usually you'd go in for a session, maybe $100 or $200 for a visit. Now we can use it in our homes to support ourselves every single day, because it's like going to the gym. You don't go to the gym once a month. You don't go and get a frequency therapy once a month. We need it every single day to really maintain our ideal optimal health. So I'll just read the disclaimer real quick. Healy is a medical device for the treatment of pain and chronic pain, fibromyalgia, skeletal pain, and migraine, as well as for the supportive treatment of mental illness such as depression, anxiety, and related sleep disorders. And all other applications of the Healy, all other applications of the Healy not recognized by conventional medicine due to the lack of evidence in the sense of conventional medicine. Thanks for muting, guys. So that's what I love about Healy. It's backed up by science. It's a class 2 medical device. It's FDA approved in the US, and now it's able to be used by everyday people to support their field. So I'd like to start off with a little bit of the science. Ken, I know that you have a massive background in this, and you really break it down into a simple, bite-sized understanding on how this works. So I'll pass it over to you.
Very good. Okay, so the technology of Healy belongs to this world of microcurrent therapy, and there is oodles of science that supports the power of microcurrent therapy. But in Healy's case, we're talking about microcurrents carrying particular frequencies that are unique to the specific cells that are assessed by the sensor in the Healy. It's a very intelligent sensor that determines your frequency needs in the moment. And that's what really sets Healy apart from any of the other microcurrent devices that are out there. So from here on, I'll try and keep it simple. And certainly if you want to go deeper, I do have a huge amount of scientific backing. I've got summarized clinical trials that can support this. There's a lot in the Healy manual, which is available to you all if you want to, get a copy of that. And so if you want the summaries, that's something I can give you as well. So just get in touch. So the model that lies at the root of much of the scientific research that Healy relies on is this one by Robert O. Becker and Bjorn Nordenstrom. Now, I'm not going to put up a diagram of a cell here. I'm just going to focus on the graph, but I want to explain what they determined was that cells are only as healthy as their ability to communicate with each other, which means that they've got to communicate between the inside of the cells and the outside of themselves, which is dependent on a tension between the internal and external environment. And that tension is promoted by the negative voltage inside the cell and a positive voltage on the outside. So for cells to operate optimally, what we're saying here is that and certainly an optimal cell is going to function if they do what they're assigned to do, which if they're a pancreatic cell or they're a cell in the prefrontal cortex of the brain, what is essential to every cell is their ability to detox, clean out waste, to bring in nutrients and generate energy. And they're able to do this by maintaining a negatively charged internal environment, which sits nicely with the positive charge on the outside. And so what we're saying here is the voltage that Becker and Nordenstrom determined that was exhibited by a young healthy cell was between negative 70 millivolts and negative 50 millivolts. And everything we expect from the cells would result if this was the outcome of this cell, and certainly if it's the outcome of all cells in the body, and of course you'll be optimally functioning right across your body. But this changes, of course, when you introduce stress, introduce life, introduce stresses like poor diet or lack of or excess movement or poor sleep or poor management of mental and emotional stress or environmental stresses, or simply the process of oxidative stress resulting from the chronological clock as we know is aging. And cell operations generally will start to break down, but certainly under stress it happens more regularly. So at negative 50 millivolts, the cells are considered to be old and sickly, but moving along the negative path, as the voltage decreases, we get aches and pains and inflammation and loss of blood flow and tumors and cell replication, and then of course cell death. But to bring it back to real life. What we're talking about here is simply the stress and the ever increasing stress load that effectively reduces the functioning of your cells down to zero in effect. Now, this happens across the board. Of course, this means that there's no life. And you'll be able to, of course, I'm sure you'll be able to correlate this with your understanding of how you measure the functioning of the heart. It's an electrocardiogram, which measures the electrical activity of the heart as it contracts. So what we're saying here is with Healy, the technology used to assess the quality of cell functioning in terms of voltage is what Healy does. It's not that far away from what we know in mainstream medicine. If you think about it, the electrocardiogram is simply, it's been around for decades. And of course, if we look at, I think we've got the slides a little bit back to front, but sorry, go back a couple. So yeah, so stress is the problem, and then Healy comes into play. The next slide, Zach. So when Healy comes to play, it promotes the cell voltage through the frequency therapy. And in short, we can go through this in a deeper way in a future presentation. The sensor in Healy is so sophisticated, it can tell what frequency is right for your body right now, across the whole body. Not only that, the sensor is so sophisticated that it's able to determine midway through the therapy that you choose when you've had enough of that particular frequency, so that it doesn't overserve your body or cells in question. And it's really important because you don't want to overcook yourself. But the sensor is sufficiently sophisticated to determine when you've had enough. This is one of the most exciting aspects of Healy, and not only I would say it's certainly not your average microcurrent therapy. It's customized to not only suit you before the session, so you'll run your resonance to assess what your needs are, but this is the thing, it's actually assessing what you need during the session. So there isn't another device out there that has the ability to work with you as you're being treated, almost better, if not better than a practitioner would be able to do so. So that's the basic science behind it. There's obviously a lot more in terms of what the working parts of the device are, and we'll go through a little bit more of how to use it. But you might want to open up for a Q&A at this point, or do you want to wait till the end?
We'll keep rocking, but yeah,
okay.
I love that how you really break it down, and those everyday habits that are slowly reducing the cell voltage, reducing our flow, reducing the vibe. And that, we can feel that in our body, whether that's aches and pains or sluggishness or heaviness or fogginess or whatever that is in our body. The Healy is designed to treat that through microcurrent. And it also works on different dimensions. So it has physical capabilities, mental. So for, help me with stress and really relaxing at the end of the day, if I ever feel triggered or emotionally impacted throughout the day or just overwhelmed, I'll put the mental balance on with the electrodes to the ear, and it feels like I've just had a nap. It just resets me. Emotionally, it helps. There's meridians supporting the energy lines of our body, the chakras, the bioenergetic field, and also frequencies for learning. And in the future, there'll even be frequencies to help learn language and open up the part of the brain that learns a language quicker as well, which is really exciting. So this is just the beginning. The capabilities of Healy are really just warming up. But if you break it down and keep it really simple, the Healy does two things, right? This little device here, it fits in the palm of my hand and actually scans and analyzes the body, and figuring out which parts of the body are causing bioenergetic imbalances. And then secondly, with another app, it has the frequencies to direct them back to the body and helping restore that bioenergetic field. And so with this, we've got a little video here, which I'll demonstrate and walk you guys through the Healy real quick, which is a breakdown step-by-step of how it works. So 2 apps, this is the first one. So today, what frequency are you running, Ken? Oh, he's muted. All good. So
right now I am called upon emotional balance.
Emotional balance. Yeah, I've got a balance one on too. I like that during the day. So with the Healy scan, guys, you can actually measure your chakras, so the 7 body chakras that make up our body, and it gives you a full interpretation of what that means in all areas, plus a visual representation. And whether you do a meditation or exercise or or whether you have an argument with someone, this machine will pinpoint immediately in a couple of seconds where your chakras are, and a visual representation where you can then send that as a report. So it's a great coaching tool or a self-analysis tool or consulting tool that you can use with your clients, or just on your own self to accelerate or shorten the feedback loop on helping us work through our own stuff. And so with that, there's a full interpretation of what this means emotionally. So what that means is, one of my friends who used this for the first time, Brandon, he had a massive fight with his mum, and it wasn't quite a long spread out argument with his mum over a year. And in his scan, what came up first, number one, was his mum's love comes at blackmail. So it pinpoints what's going on energetically for us in our field. For me, it's pinpointing stuff around self-worth or relationships or dad issues, mum issues, financial issues. So there's a massive database there. Then you go to the other part of the scanning, which is the resonance, and it does bark, flower remedies, amino acids, materia medica, and homeopathy there as well. You then go through, and there's 120 programs, and we're going to figure out what are the top 5 categories that my body needs in this moment. So at this moment, it was sleep, skin, pain, and psyche, and the top one, sleep. So what I do is I go back into the app and scan myself again, kind of pinpointing, and through the process of elimination, figuring out which one out of these 120 different programs does my body need right now. So it doesn't scan your fingerprint, just so you know. It just scans you. It could be your knuckle, it could be your fingerprint. It just it scans your focus and your body. It doesn't actually scan your finger. And then it brings up the top 5 frequencies. So that was bed rest there and balanced sleep. That's an analysis tool that you can do, ideally breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and to help pinpoint what frequencies you need in that moment. In terms of you, Ken, how have you been using the analysis?
So interesting enough, I started off literally letting the machine do what it had to do. So I would run the resonance and I would go all Healy programs to begin with, which would give me another suggested program set. And then I would go into that program set, as it said, the one that resonated with me the most, and I would run the top ranked one. And I did that for a week. And then recently, having watched and listened to some of the more sophisticated users, I suppose, I've been using my intention to literally call upon the machine to guide me, really. So I'm actually being more aspirational about what I want from the machine. And interestingly enough, it does come up with those programs which are suited to what I'm trying to achieve. So, for example, if I'm in a kind of either in a state of I need direction, in what to do next in terms of the exact tasks I need to do in my work, then I'll call upon some way in which the machine can help me, and whether it comes up with something to do emotional or grounding or something that really assists me on that journey, then I'm grateful for it, as opposed to maybe coming up with, like, I've got a scar on my finger which frequently comes up with the need to address local scars, and I'm kind of of the mindset, I know there's an energetic kind of challenge around my hands as a result, but I'm kind of skipping from that and saying, okay, right, I'm going to go down to one which is not quite at the highest of resonance in order to deal with what I really want right now.
So intuitively going with it.
Yeah.
That's really a good way to do it. And so with that, once you do an analysis, guys, or you're feeling into your body and go, what do I need right now? You go to the other app, the Healy app, and here there's a whole database. There's 16 different categories, 120 different programs. Each program has about 400 different frequencies. And so in that, these are all the different programs here. So whether it's Gold Cycle for pure and helping the body release toxins, or there's Pain and Psyche, whether it's back pain, or joints. My friend sprained her ankle and she put on her ankle over the next 3 days. It healed so much quicker. You got learning frequencies for memory or concentration. You've got fitness programs for deep relaxation or muscles. You've got job frequencies, bed sleep frequencies, mental balance. Acute is one of my favorites. Skin, hair, skin elasticity, aging, nails. You've got bioenergetic field. You've got the cold, liver function, head. There's so many, like, I haven't even been through all of them, and it's been 5 or 6 months. Then you got all the chakra frequencies, and you've got the protection programs for geopathy, electrosensitivity, cell protection, planet sleeping protection, as well as deep cycle, which is a stronger program set that focuses on things like kidneys and there's a full protocol in there.
There's one thing you might want to just, if I just interrupt a second, is
Yeah.
that it is quite extraordinary, the capacity and capability of this little device. And I think the first thing that I wanted to kind of add is that you don't have to worry about that in the beginning, because you just simply let the machine do its work, and then slowly build up your sense of familiarity with it, and then you start to get to know where you're typically going to be drawn to. But feeling like you have to go in there and choose the program and know it really in detail, it's just you don't have to. I think the usability of it is really exceptional.
Yeah, it is so accurate. You know, my little brother had some acne, and it picked up literally skin programs and acne. You know, a family friend of mine had a heart condition that picked up heart meridian. You know, it pinpoints certain conditions and things that we might not even be conscious of, but they're still in our field. And so when you then choose the program, so say we chose energy, I can then choose the intensity of it. So whether it's 0%, 5%, or all the way up to 100%, it's quite intense, especially if you put a little bit of water in between your wristbands. It helps the connectivity. And then every 10 seconds, like Ken was saying, it's personalized, it's tailored to you. You could run the frequency for energy now, and then tomorrow it's going to be a different combination, because every 10 seconds, the quantum sensor, the crystal inside of here, like on the screen, 795.4, then you've got 622.8. For the first 20, 30 minutes, it's figuring out what your body needs in that moment. Is it this frequency? Is it this frequency? Is it this one? And then the last 20, 30 minutes just focuses on the frequencies that you need. So it's always tailored, and it's, you know, not overcharging or undercharging, but it's working at a cellular level to increase that cell voltage that Ken was talking about. And whether the programs are for relaxation, releasing tension. I know that, Ken, your daughter tried the release one last night. That was a really cool story, if you don't mind sharing.
Sure. So 14-year-old is struggling at school with friend challenges, comes home and does their very best to take it out on everyone else, and which is not unusual. But ultimately, I didn't say jump on Healy. It had to come from somewhere else. Mum said, "Why don't you call upon Dad to help you with the Healy?" And it was met with gruff, "No, I don't want to do that. Don't want any help." She's not, I would say, the most ready to take on help, and she doesn't like really putting her hand up for help. But anyway, she reluctantly was cornered in her bedroom. I put the straps around her, ran the program. Interesting enough, I did say to her, what would you like to happen here? And I said, and she said to me, I would just like to relax. But interestingly, what came up was the release program. So it was under emotional balance and release. So we strapped her up and we wet her wrist, and I put her in bed. She started reading a book, and she, I just was about to close the door. She looked like she was going to rip it off and throw it across the room. And I said, "Listen, I really would like to use the Healy again. If you just take a little bit more care of it, I'd really be happy to be able to recover it in one piece." She said, "Yeah, don't worry, like this." And I popped my head around the door 35 minutes later, and it was like an angel had landed. The love was oozing from her, like, I just been introduced to a completely different person. Extraordinary. And then this morning, it was like the same stuff. The angel had literally woken up, and mornings can be quite challenging for a 14-year-old that's going through her monthly cycle as well. So there's a lot of stuff which was layered upon her evening last night that led to, almost, a big fallout in the family. But Healy came to the rescue. But she does have to obviously engage with it to a point to allow me to put it on. But interesting enough, she didn't really engage at the sort of level that we recommend people engage with it at. So it really does still have the opportunity to help people that don't necessarily believe in it, which I think is pretty amazing.
That is amazing. That is really interesting. And just, it's up to the parent's discretion whether the parent uses the Healy with their children. As a company, the people that can't use the Healy, they don't say that pregnant women or epileptics or people with pacemakers use the Healy for certain common reasons.
Sorry? Wraps are expensive.
All right. Thanks, Troy. And so, so here's, all the different apps, really easy to use through your smartphone, using the scanning app to go through and figure out which one you need. Over time, Time Waver and Healy are going to be adding more frequencies to the bottom line. They released a new frequency during the COVID period that helped support the bioenergetic field. And so we're going to have access to more of a variety of frequencies. And if you ever need a specific frequency made for you, we can actually connect with the Time Waver practitioners who make individual personalized frequencies. And so just to recap, 144,000 different frequencies. Each program has about 400 different frequencies, and it uses a quantum sensor every 10 seconds, figuring out what's needed in your body, and it's application based. And I really feel that the vision of this and where the world's going, this is the future of energetic support. This is the future of healing for the body. And you can imagine, right now there's only 50,000 people with the Healy, and if they're using it every day, increasing their vibe, helping them support themselves every day, and keeping them on purpose, and keeping them feeling healthy on the inside, how that's going to ripple out to the world when there's 100,000, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million people with the Healy. That is seriously going to make massive waves in, I believe, the consciousness of the planet. And so whether it's the wristbands, whether it's the ear electrodes, whether it's the sticky pads, there's so many different ways of using this. And I love this quote: "The day that science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all the previous centuries of its entire existence." So right now we are the pioneers of this. A lot of people have not heard about this. This is a brand new piece of technology. And if it wasn't for Marcus, this wouldn't be in our hands. So Marcus was a monk for over 10 years. He has written 25 books. He has his own Institute for Consciousness. This guy is an absolute genius, and he's behind the Time Waver big practitioner model machines that are global, as well as the Healy device, which is a compressed version of what they have. And so with that said, there's so many people behind Healy and so many people that have supported Marcus. So one of the people that have come on board with Healy is Nuno Nina. He's, for the last 15 years, been using frequencies. These 144,000 frequencies are from Nuno Nina. They've been clinically proven to support the body. And with that, Time Waver have bought other people's frequencies, other specialists' frequencies, and they have patented about 10 million all up. So over time, we'll get access to more and more, whether they're frequencies for stem cells or frequencies for pets, or weight loss or more fitness or whatever it is. This is really just the beginning. And so this is Nuno Nina in his clinic with these big machines. They're bulky, they're big, they're 20,000 euros. I met a naturopath, she has a 20,000 Australian dollar machine, and it's a big box. And so it's not portable, it's not convenient. And, who has 2 hours to sit down throughout the day these days? And on top of that, there's a bunch of other amazing health practitioners. Caroline McMacken, she was one of my favorite. She's like a bit of an idol to me right now. She's an expert on frequency-specific microcurrent. She worked with athletes, sport, and mainly with sports prevention and recovery. And so her lecture, we have a group, Healy World International, Quantum World International on Facebook. And in the unit section, we have a couple of her lectures, as well as other practitioners who are homeopaths or naturopaths or acupuncturists or phytotherapy or epigenetics or energy medicine, information field energy medicine practitioners. When I look at this and their titles and their credentials, I go, finally, a company that gets it. This is all about holistic approach and the synergistics of and the synergy of all these different modalities working together. And that's where in the Healy there is the Bach flower remedies, the materia medica. You can scan your body for the amino acids that you're lacking. There's just so many different parts to it. Now, who's behind Healy? Who funded it? We've got Time Waver, but we also have Christian Harper. He is actually a billionaire. He made all his money through Superfund and also investing in cryptocurrency. And so we don't even know how much money he has, but ridiculous amounts. And he's put about $100 million into Healy over the next 5 years to support the growth of it. And so what I'd like to do now is open up the webinar just to a couple of people who have been using the Healy over the last couple of weeks or months, and hear some of your stories, guys. So I'd love to maybe bring on Rebecca, if you're there. I know you've only had a Healy for a couple of days, but you've been scanning you and your family and all of your friends and stuff like that. If you're around, it'd be great to get you on the webinar to quickly share your story. She could be driving.
No, no, no. I'm here. I'm here.
Cool.
Just kids in the background. I will put the video on. Just give me a moment if I can find it.
Up to you. No worries.
That's all good. Hey guys, I've been flat out with the Healy. Actually, the only time I haven't got it on right now because I've done so many today. That light's not really great. Sorry. Put it in the right way. Yeah, loving it. Absolutely loving it. Had another lady around today, local lady, and did the full scan and the full aura, and they just can't believe it. They can't believe what's coming out. You know what I did discover that because I'm just learning and it's new, I really love the I Ching and everything else with it as well. I'm like, oh my God, there's just so much more. It's like Christmas every day because I'm finding out new stuff. But at the moment, my own testimony so far, my back pain is like way, way better, ridiculously better. And today when I went for my walk with my family, I've been using this circulation one because I've got thyroid issues, and for some reason thyroid's not coming up, but circulation is, but I know it's all connected there. So I'm using what's coming up for me and just more energy and feeling like, oh, yesterday I was a bit of a detox and today I'm like feeling amazing. So I just can't wait to see even longer term what's going to happen. My daughter's just popping in now, so yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Okay.
I also know that Jess is on the line. Is Jess Cody around? I know that you've got an incredible story. Would love to hear it.
Hey, legend. I'm here.
Awesome.
I won't turn my camera on only because I've just had a therapy, so I'm literally just getting off the massage table now. So bear with me. Yeah, so I've had my Healy since January 7th. Super stoked with my results. I'd been suffering with plantar warts on the bottom of my feet. It's not so much that they were painful. It was more like the shame vibration that they would drop me to, and like kind of the awkwardness of going to people's houses and knowing that I shouldn't really take off my shoes, just that weird sort of embarrassment and shame sort of vibration. So when I got the Healy, I ran a scan. Well, I actually had Zach and another friend of ours run the scan, and it showed large intestines. So I was just literally playing that program because much like Rebecca, I was just figuring it out, learning as I go. And so after using it for 6 days consecutive on the large intestine, they completely came off my feet. They just were no longer there on my feet. They disappeared. And so it was actually quite incredible for me. I was like with my best friend and I said, Anthony, you've got to double check my feet again. I swear these things were there yesterday. They can't just disappear. And they were gone. So, and they haven't come back since. So that's really cool. The feelings and emotions around my feet and my self-worth has just exponentialized. Like the shame frequency gone, completely gone. I feel in my whole being that my frequency has raised. And yeah, I'm so grateful because those things on my feet, whilst no one really knew about them, I knew about them and they were really affecting me emotionally. So I'm super, super ecstatic to have a Healy and to be able to share it with all of my family and my friends and the people that I love and care for and respect the most. So thank you, Zach, for making that possible.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Oh, good on you. Congrats. Thanks for sharing. Would love to hear from Troy. I know he's had an awesome transformation too. Do you mind sharing a little bit, Troy?
Hey guys, yeah, sure. So I've had multiple magic moments with the Healy, but we won't have time to share them all. But one that does come to mind was when I injured my shoulder, probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe a bit longer, and I come home thinking, sweet, I've got my Healy, it's going to sort me out. And I did a pain cycle for it and nothing happened. And I was like, oh, wow, this is no good. So I ran another pain cycle, a different one, and again, nothing helped. And I was quite disappointed. And next day, ran a couple more programs and it just wasn't sorting out the problem. So I ran an analysis scan and it said, I need to run a migraine. I'm like, this device is silly. Why is it telling me that I need to run a migraine program? I've never had a migraine in my life. So I ran the pain programs again. Nothing happened. And I'm like, So I ran the analysis again and it came up with migraine again. So I thought, oh, well, I better trust this device. and ran the program, and lo and behold, the pain level dropped from whatever level it was to about 20% of that level within the first 3 to 5 minutes, which was absolutely mind-blowing. I then ran another program, ran the migraine program again a little bit later, and that knocked the pain out to 0. And the next day, pain came back a little bit, came back to about 20% again, and I ran the program again and never had the pain come back. And like it's just crazy. But to see a result in like 3 to 5 minutes, to go from very, very sore to the point where I had to turn my whole body. I couldn't turn my head. To literally, what happened in front of my wife? My wife was looking at me like I was silly, because I start like turning my head and I'm going, what? The jaws dropped, and what's happening? This is unbelievable. That's just one experience. I've had some super great results with my sleep. I might tell that story another day, but yeah, very, very happy with how it's helping with my sleep.
Go for it. Share away.
Oh, all right, cool. So there's 2 things I've suffered from for years. One is getting to sleep. It would take me anywhere from 1 to 2 hours to get to sleep. I've had that all my life, and basically it's an overactive mind. When I lay in bed, it's when I start thinking about everything. I learned to do some breath work, which knocked that down to about 30 or 40 minutes, which was great. But I had this other issue where I wake up, and this is sort of more my adult life, the last 15 to 20 years, waking up, probably 20 to 30 times a night. I did run a test with one of those Garmin things. I was waking 20 to 30 times a night, just waking up, tossing over, and going back to sleep. And when I got the Healy, I saw the sleep cycles there, and I thought, well, I'll give that one a go. And the first day I used one of the sleep cycles, I went to sleep on my back, which I don't normally do, but it was because I had the leads on. It was just easy to lay on my back. I fell asleep within 10 to 15 minutes, and I woke up nearly 8 hours later in the exact same position, plugged in. And you would know, Zach, or anyone that's used the Healy, it doesn't take much to unplug those leads. And I was all plugged in and absolutely mind blown. Woke up fresh as a daisy. Normally I wake up feeling like I'm more tired than when I actually go to sleep, which is just crazy. So I'm addicted to the sleep program now. I run it every other night and enjoy the most amazing dreams. I stopped dreaming for years, and the dreams have come back, and they're so vivid. And like I'm a bit weird. I love to dream. So I look forward to going to bed and having a dream. That's great.
That's awesome, Troy. Amazing stories. Love it. Oh, gosh. Joe, are you there? We get the last story in. If Joe's there.
Yeah, I'm here, Zach.
I would love to hear some of your story, if you don't mind.
No, which one to pick? That's the question. Okay, so a couple of days ago, maybe 3 days ago, I woke up. I've got a really long-term back injury. I'm 41 now, and I first injured my back when I was 15, and then again at 25 training karate. And chronic back pain was just part of my reality. And since using the Healy, it's just become less and less and less of an issue. And it was such a gradual kind of fade, because I wasn't even particularly focusing on the chronic pain programs or the pain programs. But it's like just running frequencies has actually had an impact on the back pain without even specifically focusing on that. But then 3 days ago, I woke up and I was stiff, and it took me back to the old days kind of deal. And I was like, all right, so let's just run a program. So I ran a chronic pain program and went about my day. And again, it was, sort of took me by surprise. I'm like, hang on a sec, I'm feeling great. I've got much more mobility, much more flexibility, and the pain had cleared. So it's almost so subtle that it just becomes, your new normal, if that makes sense. But apart from the chronic pain, it's really everywhere, all levels. My mental health, my energy levels, my sleep, like Troy was saying, obviously the pain. Just a lot more joy, I think is the best way of putting it. Super grateful for Healy.
Thanks, Joe. Awesome. Thanks for
How
sharing.
about joy during COVID-19, and what a result that is. Congratulations, Joy.
So let's get back to the prezzo. Where did I put it? Oops. There it is. Thanks for sharing, everyone. And that's really the best part of my day is hearing everyone's testimonials. So you're probably wondering how much are the Healys? There are 4 different models, so to speak. Now, just so you know, they're all the same hardware. So it's the same box, the same machine. Just depending on which one you purchase, you get access to more frequencies or the scanning. Now, the only one that scans is the one to the right, the $4,000 Australian Healy. And so that has all the frequencies, all the scanning that we went through before. Now, the one below that, the Healy Holistic Health Plus, that doesn't have the scanning, but it has all 120 different programs. The Healy Holistic Health, the $1,600 one, that has about 50 different programs, no scanning. And the Healy Gold doesn't have the scan either, and it only has about 25 different programs. So depending on which one you start on, that's what you'll get access to with the app. You can upgrade at any time. So you can start on the $800 one. And if you want to upgrade to the other ones, you just pay the difference. There's financing options available as well. If you're wanting to get started, talk to the person that invited you to this webinar. And if you're wanting to, if you're trying to calculate the prices in the US or Singapore dollars or euros and things like that, there's also the combination too. And how you get started is you go through the person that invited you, you go through their link, and you then become part of their team. And so ongoing, we have support and training. We'll get onto that a little bit in a second. But there's also something called the Fast Start Bonus. So this is for only people who want to share the Healy. And if you say started on the $800 Healy and you sold 3 Healys in your first 30 days, you get upgraded to the $1,600 Healy for free. So I had a friend of a friend, she started on the $800 Healy. She ended up selling 12 Healys in her first 30 days. So she got upgraded from the $800 one all the way to the $4,000 one, and then got a free resonance, a free $4,000 machine as well. So she had one to lend out or a gift or use as well within her family. So it's many different options in order to get upgrades as well as purchasing it there as well. So, and I think, just thinking about how much it would usually cost to go to a practitioner, whether it's a bioresonance practitioner, $100, $200, $300 for a session, whether it's even just the $800 Healy, all the incredible frequencies on there are just so good, everyday wellness. But if you're really wanting the overall, feel of the Healy, the scanning and everything with the resonance is by far the best one. You'll never look back with that as well. So whether you guys want to learn more about the Healy, we might do, we have a group, we have some training, or we might even do a bit more of a Q&A in a second as well. Or whether you're ready to purchase and you're really, really ready to get this, takes about 1 to 2 weeks to arrive. You get a 2-year warranty as well as a 14-day money back guarantee. So worst case scenario is you use the Healy for 2 weeks. When it arrives, you get 2-week money back guarantee. If you don't like it in those 2 weeks, you can send it back and get all your money back. If you love it and you use it, you integrate this into your lifestyle and really start to feel the effects. Did you want to add anything there, Ken?
No, I think that's pretty good. I'd love to hear if anybody's got any questions.
Yeah, we'll open up for questions in a sec. Just to also let you guys know that when you get your Healy, obviously you get your Healy, you get the wristbands, you get the ear electrodes, you get the sticky pads, you get the manual, as well as ongoing support. So we have a full training guide with videos and tutorials and troubleshooting and lifelong access in our groups. For whether you're a practitioner, we have a practitioner's chat that has she has a full scope of all the technical health conditions and how the Healy helps for that. You can type in there, how does this help fibromyalgia, or how does this help neurodegenerative disease, or whatever you like, and then you get a sophisticated answer back, which is really useful. As well as for anyone, whether you're just wanting to use the Healy, you're always going to have support going forward. Awesome. So I'd like to say thank you all for your time. Thanks for jumping on, and we're going to open it up to a Q&A. So thank you very much. And thanks for Ken.
No worries. Thank you.